So welcome back. This is the next lesson. Go and I did that as a videos in the just to make everything short and career zaman to lesson ya dauki time sosai. So za mu ci gaba, like I said, previous lesson muna so mu sa the ability to highlight any of these sunaye da coach ya selecting. Okay, sorry, when you're highlighting, we can highlight. The next thing is to select. So in order to do that, zamu koma the same thing. Shi ma zamu sa mai new element dot add event listener add event listener. But there is a difference yanzu remember wannan idan mouse over ne, wannan idan mouse out. The next one is click event handler, just like we use our wannan button. So she click event handler, say comma click event, comma, say every other thing, and now it should be the same. Kawai sunan function ne zai canza. So I'll just copy that, sa Ctrl V, and now instead of on highlight, what we want is select element. So select element function in the Zami using key. Select element. Okay, so select element, zamu function, we creating function for select element function, which is select element. Is that correct spelling? Then yes, event comma element, say a key. Just to be clear, and now kungan anan na kira shi element ko, and then I could have called it any other thing, but one thing you should know is the same element there, and then it's being passed into here. And so I could have changed sunan wannan to any other thing because it's part of definition na wannan function. I just prefer to keep everything with the same name. Shi yasa nake sa shi haka. Sannan if you change wannan to say, okay, let me just give an example. Let's say we call this E, then anan it should be E dot, E dot kaza dot. Ba kamar instead of element dot style dot, we say E dot kaza. The in I'm using element, E I'm using. So let's just keep it as element. So and then select element. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to say element dot how do we get background is here, chanza element dot style dot background color, capital C. Background is a file the small b, say capital C, background color equals on colors yellow. Okay, don't forget to search a chicken quotes. Good. Now bamugama wanna select element, but just to test Guyana IQ, we just come here. Do we need to refresh? In fact, I want to know if we need to refresh. Okay, maybe we do. So Z add, because when I'm clicking, you can see yana selecting. Now I click inside. Let's add some more, which is Musti. So add, which is Nura. So add. Idan muka zo kan Nura yanzu muka clicking, you can see highlighting. Now just like before, if you click yanzu na selected Nura, Z is supposed to be deselected by default because already na selected Nura. So we need to keep number one day. In case selecting a particular element or a particular squad member, we should keep in memory cewa ga particular member da aka selected. So to do that, let's go to she wannan, which is we create one var which is selected player element, called selected element. Let's just call it selected element. The reason I'm creating it here is because I want it to be a global. Ina so jiba ala sa dai ba turanci ne ta yi ba, ina ta kai ala a yi haƙuri anyway zan ƙoƙarin rika forcing kaina ina ban san ma ina yawan juya anyway mu ci gaba daga inda muka tsaya. So selected element za mu creating variable mu ce mai sunan shi selected element, an gane? Bayan mun yi creating wannan variable din, the reason na ce muke creating din shi a sama saboda muna so ya zama global variable in the sense that duk variable din da kai creating a saman document ɗinka haka za ka iya using din shi anywhere a code ɗinka, an gane? Ideally a programming that's a bad thing, an gane, ba abu mai kyau bane, but because nan muna koyon programming ne shi yasa kawai za ku ga just to make abubuwa easy, duk variable da na san za mu using din shi in more than one place kawai za ku ga na zo na creating din shi a sama nan ya zama global. So because of that that is the reason za mu using din shi a wasu wurare, shi yasa muka creating din shi as global. So a nan selected element bayan mun yi highlighting din shi yanzu za mu ce selected element equals sai mu sa wannan element din, so element that is wannan element din da muka yi passing. Good. So apart from that okay, before we set it, an gane, I think before we set it, because zai iya mai yiwuwa by the time muka yi clicking a nan ya zo nan already wani element has been selected, an gane? So because of that we need to first check shin akwai element din da already yake cikin selected element din nan. So za mu ce if selected element haka element, now ba za mu ce mai kawai if selected element, wannan abin zai duba because a lokacin da muka yi creating selected element variable din nan value din shi undefined ne, an gane? So idan value din shi undefined ne ka zo nan ka ce immediately yayi running wannan if selected element, then this will return false, an gane? This will return false automatically. But idan akwai element da muka ajiye a nan, that is already mun riga mun yi highlighting wani, sai muka zo muka ƙara clicking to mun riga mun selecting wani, muka zo muka ƙara clicking don mu selecting wani, then by the time ya zo nan ya ce if selected element, this will return true. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, because of that bari mu yi code din kawai. Za mu yi code din, hopefully za a gane me ke faruwa, hopefully kuma maybe a darasin gaba I will try to take time and explain, but ba wani abu mai wahala bane sosai gaskiya. So if selected element za mu ce so a nan if it is false, if it is true, that means akwai, then we should say selected element dot background dot style dot background color equals none. Ya ake cire okay, white tunda dama background din white ne, good, we'll just keep it back to white. Sai shi kuma the new element kenan, so selected element yanzu sai mu ce selected element, that is the new selected element kenan, is equal to element, sannan kuma finally we need to remember wannan mun yi old selected element muka mai da shi background color din shi ya zama white, sai new selected element kenan, selected element tunda mun riga mun yi sa element din cikin nan, it becomes shine new selected element dot style dot background color is equal to sai mu sa yellow, shi kuma mu mai da shi yellow, an gane? So this is what we do for one select element. This is the code, an gane? So instead kawai mu ce mai element dot style dot background color to be yellow. In fact I think we don't need this. we don't need this. Tunda mun riga mun yi setting element din as background color din shi yellow, so we don't need this. Mun riga mun yi setting a nan kafin ma muka zo muka duba. Sannan mu ce if selected element that is old one, idan akwai wani selected element a baya ya goge color din da ke kan shi sannan ya wannan. Okay, control S mu je mu testing mu gani. Let's refresh, mu ce mu adding Nura, mu adding Musti, mu adding Atik, mu adding, okay, mu adding Zaid. Good. Yanzu let's select Musti. It's highlighted yellow. Me selecting Zaid. So wannan bai koma ba. It's supposed to deselect wannan, but it didn't work. So we might need to check what's the issue. Selected element dot style. If selected element dot style dot the background. Okay, I think I see the issue. So first day element dot style dot back. Okay, I see the issue. No, but then if selected element, if this is true, okay, else, okay, I think that's the issue. But me else bar. So idan there's an element, it should do this. Else it should just say selected element equals element without trying to tunda babu one. Okay, yeah, I think this is correct. In fact, we can improve this. We can improve this by removing she else then, and at the end kawai musa select anyway. Wancan code make it as cewa me ake ce mai factorization ne a coding. I don't know if you understand what I'm about to do, but let's just save. Muna control S, mu je mu testing, we refresh before we come and factorize. Zaid sai mu ce Musti, musa add, musa Abdul, musa add. Yanzu let's highlight Zaid, let's select Zaid, let's select Abdul kunga ya dauke. So yana aiki yanzu, yana aiki. But I don't like the code the way we wrote it. When you wrote a long code, there's a way we can make this shorter. Mu cire wannan, gane? Mu cire wannan, mu cire else din nan. Amma za mu bar shi selected element din equals. This is what you can do when you are in ka kai wani level a coding. An gane? I'm not trying to boast. Wannan instead of musa else din musa wannan a ciki kuma we can actually write it like this. Yanzu wannan code din exactly the same ne da ɗaya code din. Bari mu gani control S, mu je wannan din mu mi refreshing, mu ce Abdul add, Musti, musa add, musa Zaid, musa, in fact Bima is a we tested. So kun gani how I did it. Jau kawai sabo da coding ne, an gane, ba wani big deal bane, ba wani because it's the only thing a else statement din. So because of that you just kuma wannan statement is still yana cikin if section din, an gane. So instead of we ƙara testing else, we don't need to do that. We can just terminate if statement din kawai sannan sai mu sa she statement in da muke so ya execute a ƙasa. Like I said, in ka kai wani level na coding zaka fara gani very easy way that you can make your code shorter ba tare da ka canza code din ba. It will remain the same but your code will be shorter. So a wannan lesson din I think we'll stop nan. So far yanzu muna iya selecting, muna iya highlighting, bari mu je mu gani. Muna iya highlighting, zamu iya adding, zamu iya selecting kuma. The only thing we can't do now is to remove. So zamu yi implementing wannan next lesson.